Veronica, you have a presentation. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you. So the housing voucher program and source of income protections really does, as we've heard today, ensure that veterans and renters do not get turned away simply because of how they pay for housing. We have two types. The Section 8 Housing Choice Vouchers is administered locally by our public housing authorities and funded by HUD. And then we have the VASH vouchers, which have been talked about, that are also funded by HUD and managed locally with case management services by the Veterans Administration. As shared, the Texas law allows us to add special source of income protections in city incentivized properties, and we have done that. And we could also adopt protections for veterans in all properties. We cannot, however, apply these protections broadly for every renter in every property. It's important to note, as also been shared today, that these protections only apply to the source of income. It does not mandate that renters with vouchers must be accepted. It must simply allow a landlord to look at the option and utilize whatever other landlord screening criteria they may have, and the voucher cannot be the sole reason for a denial for housing. We have been talking about this issue for a while. Back in 2021 is the housing choice incentive policy was adopted, and those protections do apply to city incentivized properties. In April of 2024, we briefed the Planning and Community Development Committee on source of income protections for veterans. We heard at the time, just like we did today, lots of public feedback on concerns about the housing voucher program, administrative burdens, and the direction was to convene a diverse group of stakeholders to really help address the issue for all voucher holders and help make it easier for both renters and landlords to utilize this benefit. We've done that, convened a working group. They came up with 9 recommendations, which we shared with the Housing Commission in November of 2024, and then with Planning and Community Development Committee in April of 2025. The direction, again, was to continue working with the stakeholder group and improve housing access for everyone who has a voucher. Last month, we briefed City Council during full B session, and the direction was given to discuss a proposed ordinance at PCDC. As mentioned, there are over 90,000 veterans here in San Antonio. And of those veterans, they have 2 types of vouchers. About 852 hold the VASH voucher that comes with the support case management services. And then approximately 1,200 are veterans who hold the regular Section 8 housing vouchers. Combined, there are about 100 veterans with vouchers that are searching for housing right now. That number is fluid and changes all the time as people get housed or get a new voucher and need to start looking again. While the number of searching is low, I want to acknowledge we did hear from lots of speakers that although they may have a housing situation, it may not be ideal, and there could be lots of reasons why they like broader options, including being closer to medical care services, and expanding the range of housing options would better support long-term housing stability. So when we presented to the Planning Community Development Committee on April 28th, again, we heard from many speakers and asked the committee members to consider the proposed ordinance, as well as consider several items of how that ordinance should be applied here in San Antonio. Should we look at a citywide? Should we consider, based on some of the feedback and possible unintended consequences, we considered looking at applying to smaller portfolios, such as properties with 4 or fewer units. We discussed what should be our enforcement provisions, how should penalties be applied, from training to criminal or non-criminal penalties or fees. We also discussed the importance of education and outreach, again, for both those who hold a voucher as well as the property owners who will be responsible for the rental. During their discussions, PCDC members discussed the proposed ordinance and as well as all of the considerations. The committee recommended making the ordinance applicable to providers or property owners renting 4 or more residential units, which would be exempting properties with 4 or fewer units. I'd like to again clarify the PCDC amendments are ownership-based, not geographical, so the ordinance would be applied based on how many units an owner owns. Additionally, PCDC recommended that we incorporate escalating penalties that would mirror the proactive apartment inspection program, as well as how violations should be reported and reviewed. And finally, PCDC recommended that we evaluate the status of the ordinance after 6 months. Based on those discussions, the proposed ordinance, as it is written, does establish source of income protections for veterans, meaning the housing voucher cannot be the reason the veteran is denied access to housing. As proposed, this ordinance would apply to housing providers renting 5 or more units regardless of the location of those units. The city will be investigating reported violations on a case-by-case basis. Again, we will be utilizing Bexar County ownership records and other tools. We don't have this data aggregated, but again, we would be reviewing it as violations are reported. These violations will be subject to escalating penalties, with the first offense resulting in a written warranty. The second offense would be mandatory training provided by our team, perhaps in partnership with a stakeholder. And the third offense would be the $500 fee. That would be a non-criminal penalty, as well as referral to the city attorney's office for further action. We will, in order for the ordinance to be effective, people must know about it and how it impacts them. So our team will be working with our partners, including through our in-person renters' rights workshops, our industry partners, and of course, our veteran partners, to help share the information with both the owners and the prospective renters. We will, of course, come back and brief PCDC on the implementation of the ordinance 6 months if it passes approval today. Thank you.
As a point of clarification, the regular inspections would be based on complaints. Eric, any issue with that?
No, that clarifies it for me, Mayor. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Okay. Any other questions or discussion based on the amendment? Okay.